The other factor which can boost demand in places like Singapore is the number of new immigrants coming in. Although anecdotally we hear of foreigners being retrenched and heading back to their home countries, it's not as clear how the global recession has impacted immigrants who are thinking more long-term. Especially the middle level of reasonably well-paid white-collar workers who may still be going through with their plans to settle down and live and raise their families in cities such as Singapore.
Part of the home buyers actually come from the influx of permanent residents. So as we all know, last year itself we have about 80,000 new permanent residents. They become PRs in Singapore. So a lot of all these PRs, they can actually buy properties, and if they buy properties, instead of paying rent, which they need to use cash, they can actually use CPF to pay for part of the housing loan installment. So it will enable them to save a lot in cash if they were to buy a house. So as a result, a lot of them are coming into the market, whether they are buying resale HDB flats or the low-end condos.
Demand is one side of the property equation. The other is supply, that is the number of new houses and condominiums that are being built. Now I'm here in Balestier, in the central part of Singapore, and looking at the number of new condominiums at least that are being built, there seems to be pretty good supply, which normally should mean that prices should go down. But that doesn't seem to be the case.
I think if we look on the potential supply coming into the market, there's definitely enough condos and HDB flats to be launched in the next 2-3 years. Let's take condos itself. From 2009 until 2013, there will be more than 50,000 condos that will be completed in this period. So definitely there's enough supply. But what happens is right now there's a temporary mismatch in the supply and demand, because suddenly this huge group of buyers actually come into the market. And as we all know, for the property industry, it takes about 1-2 years for a building to be constructed. So in the meantime, we have this lack of supply in the current situation. As a result of that, and of course, prices keep going up, whether it's for HDB resale flats or for private condos.
Another reason to go out and buy may be that interest rates are currently at some of the lowest levels seen for many years, which should be great news for us home buyers. But actually, it's not so simple. You should think twice when taking your loan, and here's why.
Actually, it depends on whether you're buying to stay or for investment. If you're buying to stay, the key consideration is actually affordability. Can you afford to pay the loan installment and so forth? So I would advise that anyone who is thinking of buying a property currently, firstly, they should restrict the amount of income used to pay housing loan to a maximum of 35%. So no more than 35% of their income should go toward paying their housing loan. And second thing they need to also be mindful of, currently the interest rates are actually very low. So if they use the current interest rate of say about 2% to calculate their money installments, they may get a very low figure. So instead, they should actually price in a possible increase in interest rate to about 4% to calculate the money installment. Currently, what we have is actually one of the lowest interest rate for the last 20-30 years. Home buyers who are actually intending not to sell the house in the next 3 years, they can actually consider fixing their interest rate for the next 3 years at this moment.